221 and 2 touchdowns. Here he is after the game.
Coming on the road, first division game. Division wins are always tough. As I said, then you add on the road before a long weekend. Puts a better taste in our mouth. But at the end of the day, as I've said, even after those 2 losses, a couple weeks, or the past 2 weeks, it's a process. So we're not going to get complacent. We're not going to get overexcited about what we've done tonight. It's about building, and it's about figuring out what we can do better in all phases. But it's a lot easier to do that with the win.
Okay, Brew, put a grade on the Cowboys' performance, please.
A D.
It's a sad day.
Oh.
It's a sad day because it's now clear. All right? Like, the last 2 losses, they were losses.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. We could brush off the blowout loss to New Orleans. It happens.
F game.
F game. Even the top teams, a lot of them will have an F game here or there. The Ravens obviously got blown out the first 3 quarters, but had the nice comeback. Had us thinking, okay, that's who the Cowboys are. All they got to do is bottle that. That's what they're going to be for most of the rest of the season. And that 12-win team, 11, whatever, they're here. Mm-hmm. But now, after 60 minutes of what you said, mediocre, ho-hum, so-so football against a bad team. And that bad team, I mean, God forbid they actually could score a touchdown. But that bad team actually, Nick, had more first downs than the Cowboys, better third down efficiency than the Cowboys, more total yards than the Cowboys, and more time of possession by 11 minutes than the Cowboys. And so I don't think I'm the only one. We all probably had a revelation last night that the Cowboys are no longer fringe contenders.
Wow.
That the Cowboys are not going to win 12 games this year. That the Cowboys are ordinary, mid, run of the mill. So here's the grade. It's sad because it was fun when we thought they were good.
Yeah.
And then we could mock them for the F game. They get a C for common.
Common.
Oh, that's what the Cowboys. They're common.
They don't. The grades don't have to be acronym related,
no,
right?
I know, but they're common.
Okay.
That's what they are.
All right.
Great.
So I have a lot to say about that. Or before I go, I actually think America's more interested in Kevin Wilde's take on the Cowboys after last night because, if I may infringe on your trademark for a moment, Wilde's famously called the Cowboys not mid or common or any of those things. He called them a lionfish.
Well, cooked one.
Cooked lionfish.
That does.
So so I'm just curious. Are they still, last night, we can show you were worried about their run defense.
Yeah.
Last night, they had the best run defense any team's had in the league all year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Are they still
supposed to be impressed?
Another 27.
Hold on. Wait, hold on, wait a moment.
Put the single in Singletary. 1 yard.
Hold on. Can I say, can we be fair for a moment? That their new rankings are irrelevant to the performance last night.
True.
There have been 49 football games played in the NFL this year. The fewest rushing yards given up by any team in those 49 games, the Cowboys last night. Fewest yards per rush was the Cowboys last night.
Fair.
So I asked Wilds, can they be upgraded to? Listen, I don't think you're going to give them bluefin tuna.
No, God.
But what about red snapper? Can they be that?
Still too good.
Still too good.
No, you're there.
That's all I've got.
I'll tell you what they are.
I got nothing else. What do they got? What do they got?
Thank you, Wilds. Thank you.
Hold on. What are you going to go?
Nick didn't like it. He wanted me to give him an A.
No.
Cod.
For edgy.
Cod. Just a boring old, plain old.
There you go.
No, I don't want you.
Whatever.
I don't want you to give them an A. My grade almost would have been S for survival to go along with what you were like to go along with your theme.
So
theme of it.
Yes.
But I don't know sometimes who we are comparing the Cowboys to. Who in their conference, Brew, looks great? Who?
Not the Cowboys.
No, but who? You wanted, you demanded.
Better.
This is so misleading. I'm going to let the clip play, and I don't have the other clip lined up. But Nick Wright said yesterday He literally said yesterday that if it's a close game, it's very concerning for the Dallas Cowboys. He said if this ends up being like a close game, he goes, this would be a bad, a bad thing for the Dallas Cowboys. Really anything short of them blowing them out or really convincingly winning by 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, whatever it may be, then this is a bad look for the Dallas Cowboys because this is what the Dallas Cowboys have been able to do for years and all this. Those were his words. It's what he said yesterday. No doubt about it. I reviewed the clip on here. I did it yesterday. So it without a shadow of a doubt, that's what he said. And now he's being like, well, what are we comparing them to? Like, what? Like, no, be consistent. They clearly did not look good. If the New York Giants were even just remotely a notch more competent, they win this game, right? If Daniel Jones can actually just be a legitimate quarterback and throw the ball, they win this game. So no, that's absolutely absurd. If you want to say, oh, they did such amazing defense, I mean, like, stopping the run game, the Giants are awful. The Giants can't move the ball. The Giants can't do anything. So that's not about about Dallas's defense. And if you really want to start to compare what they did to other teams, again, look no further than Dallas only able to rush for 80 yards, okay? And whereas you look at the Commanders who were able to rush for 215 yards. Because Nick is saying, who do we compare it to? Well, let's compare it to the other teams that played the Giants. The Giants rushed for 215 yards and scored 21 points. Whereas, the Dallas Cowboys rushed 80 yards and scored 20 points. The Vikings were able to rush 111 points. Like, so this idea that this should be impressive because of what the Giants were able to do against the Cowboys is just absurd. If you want to make those types of comparisons, then we got to do it both ways. Look at what the other teams were able to do to the Giants, and they played better against the Giants than the Cowboys just did. Because he's saying, who else looks better? The Minnesota Vikings look better. The Washington Commanders look better. The Philadelphia Eagles look better. The Packers look better. The 49ers look better. The Saints look better. I mean, what are we talking about? All these teams look better, and it's obvious. It's as clear as day. It's as clear as day.
But who is not ordinary?
I mean, San Francisco has the injury issues.
San Francisco has looked bad.
Green Bay has looked good considering they've been playing with not only their backup quarterback, but a guy that can't throw.
No, and Malik's played well, and so you give him credit. And that's a coaching thing, sure. Green Bay, the concern, though, is, of course, their quarterback is hurt, and we'll have to see what he looks like. Detroit has not looked good. Goff is playing worse than he's played with them since he's been there. I just don't know who we're comparing him to. And if you were adamant and correct, they can't stop the run. You told me yesterday you're an evidence guy.
Yeah.
And
they did.
So if that was their biggest weakness, and they did it better yesterday than any team has done in any game all year, Brew, 24 carries for 26 yards.
That was fine. But to your point, there's a context.
Yes.
You weren't.
The whole league
you
is
weren't
mid.
playing a very good run team.
What?
Were you under the impression that the Giants had a great run game?
No, I thought the Giants' run game was a little below league average, not the worst performance of any team in the league all year. That has to matter a little.
Which one of these scores doesn't fit? You tell me. 40-0, 49-17, or 20-15. Feels like the 20-15 one is very mid and not impressive. So we're just not impressed. You didn't give him F.
Because we're kind of comparing them. You asked who we're comparing to. And your point is fair. Nobody in the NFC has looked like the world beater. But I'm kind of comparing them, honestly, to the Cowboys of the past few years.
But that's I guess the point that I am trying to make is it would appear to me the defending champion Chiefs fail that test of the Chiefs of the last few years. They're right now through 49 games of I understand, but my point is the Niners. How do the Niners look compared to the Niners last few years?
They're hurt.
How do
if they're not
right, that's an excuse. It's a legitimate explanation.
Okay, so how do the Lions look? How do the Texans look compared to those teams of last year?
What bearing does that have on how good Dallas plays?
Well, because they are being measured
City
against,
so
at least
bad,
how I
man.
do it, the teams with which they have to compete with.
Oh, I'm measuring them against the expectations we had for a team that was supposed to have the most expensive, one of the most expensive wide receivers, and the most expensive quarterback, and America's team, and a running game that they ignored that kind of flared up on them, and a great defense that is now hurt and can stop the run against the lowly Giants. I don't know how you can come away from that game being like,
no, I said S for survival. The point I'm trying to make is this is you guys said yesterday that if they won 40-0, it wouldn't matter, and now they win a game where the biggest weakness they have had up to this point in the year, they reverse that, and it's like, okay, well, that didn't really matter.
You literally said that if it was a close game like this, then that it would be a problem, that it would be problematic. And now that it was a close game, you're now saying, oh, well, that's not really. Who are we comparing them to? Look at the other teams out there. So no. If we're gonna be consistent and call out Brew and Wilds, well then Nick needs to be called out as well. I mean that makes no sense. Go watch the Dallas Cowboys clips of yesterday. He literally says if it's a close game, then that's a problem. And now he's being like, no, it's not a problem. They corrected their issue with the run game. Right, sure, because it was just their just stonewalled amazing defense that no one can get by. Right, it had nothing to do with Daniel Jones' inability to throw and just the Giants' inability to run the ball. It had nothing to do with that, right? Sure. Okay.
So I mean, it's just if we're in that spot
if they would have beat them 40-0 or something equivalent, I would have given them an A.
But I
wouldn't have thought, they're going to win the NFC now. But I would have given them an A and felt like, okay, this is who they have been.
Had a Jets performance
but I don't even think they're what they were last year now. That's what I'm saying.
I don't
think they're as good as they were last year.
Do you right now, because it seems like you think they're not a playoff team? Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I picked them to make the playoffs.
But I'm not asking you to change your pick. Yeah. I'm saying, do you think they're a playoff caliber team the way they've played?
7 teams are going to make it. Like, to your point, nobody in the NFC. I'm not saying they're not going to make the playoffs, but they're common. That's what I'm saying. They're common.
Okay. Brew, I want to get your reaction. I showed you a write-out of this quote, but we have the sound from Dak. Here's what else he said. I want your take on it. Take a listen.
Got to turn the narrative, got to change the narrative, and that's what this game did, especially over a long weekend. Puts us at 2-2, allows us, a couple of days to get our body right, mind right. If guys want to read about themselves in this team, it's all positive. Hopefully, I ask you guys to make it positive. Keep their confidence right, and just allow it to build momentum.
Brew, your reaction.
I like Dak, I really do, but. I mean, the reporter's job is not to keep the player's mindset positive. The reporters don't work for the Cowboys. They might be Cowboys beat writers, but they work for the Dallas Morning News, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, so on and so forth. They're not on Jerry Jones's payroll. They are supposed to report what is happening, good or bad. Be fair, but good or bad. And so that's number one. And I don't know if Dak, he should understand it as a veteran.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't.
That was a little tongue-in-cheek, don't you think?
I didn't pick it up that way. I just don't even think you should say. I didn't think it was tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a little bit. I thought it was.
So if the request to the reporters was tongue-in-cheek, I think the idea that the players are very interested in the narrative.
Right. Oh, that I agree.
And the environment that is that they're susceptible to outside noise.
I think that was
going to be my next point.
Sorry, well then I should have I totally agree with that concern. That Dak is voicing publicly that our team's morale or mentality can be impacted by the coverage, but I don't think he was actually
they shouldn't even be concerned.
They love the narrative, though.
About the narrative. But here's.
Yeah, they do love the narrative. I mean, guys, I don't really know what to say, honestly. I mean, it's just, this was so obviously not a good game for the Dallas Cowboys, okay? This wasn't just, it was a divisional game on the road. Those games can get weird and difficult and physical and this and that. The Dallas Cowboys did not look good, okay? We saw two not good teams playing one another. That was honestly the reality, okay? They had 4 or 5 penalties in the first quarter alone, the Dallas Cowboys. They had 10 by the third, and then I just stopped counting. So I don't know how high that number went. But you're playing such a bad team. Dallas had trouble moving the ball. They had trouble scoring points against, again, against a not good Giants team. Daniel Jones had multiple shots to win that game. He really did. It just can't really be argued or disputed. When I made my the video for the herd and talked about it, I actually had people in the comment section be like, this was a good game and Dak Prescott did this and that, and I'm just like, I don't even know what to say to that. I really don't, because if you guys believe that, you're just watching something different. I mean, like, it's just, you're not really seeing the reality. In no world is beating the New York Giants 20-15 and that level of play. It's one thing if it was a close game because the Giants just gave their A game, right? They were balling, and it was just like, that happens sometimes, right? Like, sometimes that just happens. Or just the flow of the game, right? Like, this was an outlier situation for the Dallas Cowboys, not unlike the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Raiders, the Broncos, or whatever, right? Where it was just like a weird, bizarre game. But this game on the back end of being rocked by the Saints and rocked by the Ravens, like, if they beat those two other teams, or they just didn't play those teams yet, and the Cowboys were just kind of doing what they've been doing, and then this game unfolded this way, then you could absolutely justify it. Then you could say, yeah, it was just one of those games, weird physical game, blah, 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 divisional, yada, yada, yada. But you have to put it in context for the rest of the season, how the regular season has gone, right? And you have to look at it as, when you look at who's been playing the Giants and how they've been playing and what the Giants have been able to do, you can compare and say that the Cowboys did not play the Giants good relative to any of these other teams. So it's just no matter how you really want to look at it, I can't see how you possibly can point this in a positive direction. Okay? I don't even really know what they were trying to do, offensively at all, quite frankly. Right? Like, their big move to get C to the ball now is to just hand it off to him. Like, that's the big genius innovation for this offense, is to just get, what did he have? 3 carries for 8 yards or something? Like that's the move. It was just bizarre, honestly. The whole game, I'm just watching it, and I'm just like, I'm watching two teams that are just stuck in mud. That's what it felt like. Like it was a cartoon that they were just stuck in mud and quicksand. Like, I just really didn't know what I was watching. There was just really no high level play on either of these teams, quite frankly. And the flags, I mean, like, I don't understand how the Cowboys can be so undisciplined against a bad team like the New York Giants to have that many penalties. And it should have been even more. The face masking penalty was absurd, that they called it on the Giants when the Cowboys committed it. And that alone, as they pointed out in the broadcast, was like a 30-yard swing. The Giants should have had the ball at Dallas's 17-yard line. I mean, who knows if they would have actually scored a touchdown, because the Giants, literally could only kick field goals. But I don't know. And it's just funny to see Nick flip-flop now, where he essentially said, if I see a game like this, it would be worrying. And now that he saw a game like this, he's just like, well, hey, what about these other teams? He's trying to move the field goal, move the goalpost. Oh, crazy. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Giants? Do you think this is actually promising? Do you think this is actually a good game? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.